Hey guys, I'm Kelly. Today's story comes from one of our most loyal viewers, a true experience she swears actually happened. A newlywed bride suddenly collapsed at work, coughing up blood in front of everyone. At first, people thought she was sick, but later, they realized something darker was behind it. This story still gives me chills every time I think about it. It happened years ago, when Shirley, the viewer who sent in this story, was still working at her old company. That was when her boss's son, Ethan, got married, and everything started to spiral into something no one could explain. Ethan's marriage was what you'd call a shotgun wedding. His girlfriend, Lena, had already moved into his family's house and even started working at the same company. But to be honest, Ethan's parents, Shirley's boss, and his wife never really liked Lena. They were polite to her in front of others, but behind closed doors, the things they said weren't kind. Still, since Lena was pregnant, the marriage went ahead. On the day they registered their marriage, Ethan and Lena went to the local office early in the morning, then came straight back to work afterward. Lena, as usual, went to the packing room to help out. She was chatting and laughing with her coworkers, looking completely fine, and then, in the blink of an eye, she just collapsed. Not like a faint, she went down hard, face first, onto the floor. Shirley was in her office when she heard shouting outside. One of the girls ran in, yelling for her to call an ambulance. When she asked what happened, they said, "Someone's down and there's blood, a lot of blood." By the time Shirley got to the room, the sight froze her in place. Lena was lying in a pool of blood. Ethan was on the floor beside her, shaking her and crying her name. The floor was streaked, red more blood than she'd ever seen in her life. Shirley ran back to her desk to call 911, then rushed back to wait for the paramedics. And that's when things got wrong. Before the ambulance even arrived, Lena suddenly opened her eyes. She sat up, calm as if nothing had happened, and said in a flat voice,
"I need to go to the bathroom."
Everyone was stunned, but they still helped her up. She walked into the restroom, stared at herself in the mirror, then came out, only to go back in again. She repeated that several times, and each time she came out, her eyes looked different. Then it got even creepier. Whenever she saw a man, her father-in-law, her brother-in-law, even the male paramedics who later arrived, she would go right up to them, trying to hug or kiss them. But when she saw a woman, she'd just stick out her tongue. None of them knew what they were looking at. Was she injured, or had something else entered her? Eventually, they managed to get her into the ambulance, and the chaos finally quieted down. But that night, around 3 a.m., Ethan called the office she'd had another attack, and the next morning, Lena showed up to work like nothing had ever happened. A few days later, it happened again. Ethan and Lena went out to grab lunch at a nearby shop. Not long after, the boss got a phone call, went pale, and rushed out. He told one of the guys to drive him there, because apparently, while Lena was ordering food, she suddenly collapsed again, face first onto the ground, blood pouring from her mouth. The shop owner was so terrified, she refused to open for the rest of the day. At that point, everyone thought it had to be some kind of medical problem. Ethan, desperate and scared, finally called Lena's mother over to talk. That's when the truth came out. It wasn't a sickness, it was a curse. According to her mother, the curse came from Lena's aunt, her late father's younger sister. That aunt had died full of resentment years ago. She had been mistreated her whole life because the family only valued sons. Before she died, she swore a curse on the family.
If this family ever bears a son, he will not live.
And Lena's baby, it was a boy. But here's the part that still makes my skin crawl. even after collapsing, bleeding, hitting the floor, again and again. The baby was always fine. Every checkup said he was perfectly healthy, growing stronger each time. People at the company whispered among themselves back then,
"That child, he was meant to be born, no matter what."
Later, Ethan and Lena divorced. Before the divorce was finalized, there was one last bit of chaos. The baby had been staying with Ethan's mother, but one day, Lena's family came to visit and walked out with the child. Ethan had to fight through court to get his son back. Shirley left the company soon after, but years later, she still thinks about it sometimes. If that aunt's spirit really was behind all of it, then what exactly did that child escape from? So, what do you think? Was that baby just incredibly lucky? Or protected by something beyond our understanding? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with your ghost-loving friends.
Just to be sure, I decided to check the storage closet. And there he was, sitting in the dark, hugging his knees. That alone was weird, because he hated dark places.
"I found you. Come on, get out,"
I said, but he didn't move. Not even a little. Getting impatient, I reached in to pull him out. That's when he suddenly pulled back, hard, like he was trying to drag me inside. Just as I was about to yell at him for being annoying, I heard a voice behind me.
"Hey sis, what are you doing?"
I turned around, and my brother was standing there, eyes wide and about to cry. The elevator dinged and opened. I stepped in first. She followed with her mop bucket. Inside it was suffocating, humid, sticky, and full of this strange, stale smell, like something had been soaked too long. Even the mirrored walls looked warped and cloudy. That's when I saw it. A crumpled piece of paper in the corner. I bent down and picked it up. It was a ticket. Old, yellowed, the print so faded you could barely read it. There was a huge dark red stain on it, dried and cracked. It looked like blood, but not exactly. I was still staring when she suddenly hissed, voice low but sharp.
"Put it back. Don't touch it."